Turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, folks. Just bear with me 1 second. Unprofessional, I know. Let's do that. Hey there, welcome to Sharkcast Pod, a podcast dedicated to what we think is the greatest sporting club in the history of the world. But tonight, man, oh man, tonight was not good. Sharks lose 24-20 to Canberra, and super disappointing way to lose, and also just an overall performance that I don't think too many in the club will be proud of. Sharks lose 24-20. Just getting my stuff in order. And Dan's already on here and he's not happy. There you go, Dan. That's not a swear word. That's all right. That counts. That's fine. Okay, so in the comment section, I'm going to leave a little link. So Dan was at the game and he said that that wasn't much fun. And I can imagine it wasn't much fun watching on the telly either, I can tell you. If you want to jump on and have a chat, please do. There'll be no swearing or carrying on, but you can be as disappointed as you want and critical as you want. That's for sure. You can do audio, you can do video, whatever you like, or you can leave comments, whatever's comfortable. We're just going to have a chat, hang out. We're going to vent. We're going to feel better at the end of this, hopefully, because that was super, super disappointing. Hopefully my internet's going to be all right. Sharks lose 24-20. They led with about 15 to go for the first time in the game, and they were just hanging on. They had no real look about them scoring. They didn't score a try in the second half. They had a one-man advantage for 10 minutes with the sin binning, and they did not make the most of that. And it came back to haunt them right at the end. I mean, you know, bounce of ball, whatever, but they should have stopped that try at some point. They didn't, and Tim says that was disgraceful. We were bad even when we were winning. They weren't good. I'll tell you a couple of guys that really impressed me straight away, and then we can talk as much bad stuff as you want. I thought that Hiroti was an incredible replacement, and I thought that Fonua Blake was just unbelievable. All right. We got a guest. Here comes Jamie. Unmute yourself, Jamie, for me, please. Jamie, can you just unmute yourself from your end? You can see the little microphone button, maybe. I don't think I can do it. Oh, I can do it. No, I can't do it. Jamie's gone. Jamie, if you want to come back, you just got to unmute yourself and we'll pop you in. Sorry about that. Daniel says, we look so bad this year, with the defense is shocking. And yeah, I mean, the way they came back in the end, you could feel it, you know, with the one-man overlap, and we didn't take advantage of it. 2 points with 10 minutes sin bin, and then they came back with a spring in their step. But the Sharks should have held on. They didn't. Just not good enough. All right, here comes CJ. Hey, CJ. Now, why can't I hear you, my friend? CJ. Can you unmute yourself from your end, CJ, for me, please? Otherwise, it's not going to work. Just bottom left, if you can see the mute button. It's probably got a thing through it. He's going to, okay, we're not having much lucky with the callers, but loving that you're calling in. So please keep trying. Just if you get through, bottom left, you can see a mute button, I think, a microphone. Unclick that and you should be right to talk. Okay, Hamman says this. Why did Trindle not pass the ball last tackle? I don't know if he had anyone there, and I think they wanted to die with the ball a few meters out rather than give him 80 meters rather than 100. So I'm not sure there. That's a technical thing. I think the players do. Here comes Shake. I know you're not going to agree. Poorly coached team. Okay. No one has idea what they're doing. Yeah, I don't know if it's a poorly coached team, but I understand what you're saying. I respect what you're saying. The attack was not good the whole game, so I'm with you there. And in the second half, I have no idea why they didn't score a try. And there were a few errors in the opposition 20, one from Will, one from Jesse, but I don't know why they look so poor in defense. This Wi-Fi looks about as bad as our performance tonight. Danny Lee, a friend of ours, says that was diabolical. Halves were terrible. Kennedy out of position all night. Yeah, the halves were not good. And Will was definitely out of position for a few things. The last one, I mean, it's a bounce of the ball. I'm not going to go either way on that one. But, they should have stopped the try. Whether it was Will, whether it was someone else, they had about 20 plays in that one last tackle, and they went for it and got it. So you make your own luck. We should have stopped that, and we could all see it coming. We could feel it coming. Unfortunately, Dan says, when does coaching come into this? I don't know. I mean, it's 2 losses. You know what I'm going to say about that. But I think we need to do something with those halves and with the forwards. I can feel Kobe, and Kobe's going to be able to talk. Hey, Kobe, what's going on?
How you going, mate? What's happening?
Good, brother. How are you?
Yeah, mate. Not too good after that match.
Tough one, huh?
Mate, very tough.
Where to go wrong? What's your language and where to go wrong?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I don't know, through the middle, I think. But it's a rough watch because sometimes you just see up the middle, it's like, oh, okay, we're doing all right. And then next minute, we're just getting dominated. When Tommy and Adam Blake came on, mate, we're just busting up through the middle when the big boys. But then, I don't know, when Acco and all that were on, mate, we just looked soft. And when Hudson Young went in the bin, what did we do? We did nothing. It's just rough.
Yeah, that was disappointing, Kobe. I mean, we all sort of when they went for the penalty goal, when he went to the bin, I thought, well, okay, I can see the merit here. We go ahead. There's about 8 minutes left with the clock. But in those 8 minutes, they didn't really look like scoring. They didn't target that side of the field either, Kobe. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but we didn't even go.
No, they didn't know
where Hudson Young was. So that was disappointing.
They kept going Ramey inside, and I love Ramey, and I'll always say it. But last year he was good. This year, I don't know. He just can't get that final pass right to Sammy Stoney.
He's definitely had an uncomfortable couple of games. I wasn't comfortable with Jesse at all tonight. I don't know what's going on, but he was off his game. Stoney was Stoney is hit and miss. Like he had that howler of attempted catch in the first half. And it was, to be fair, it was really a really hard catch, but he made it look even worse, right? But in the second half, somehow he pulled off that Hail Mary for catch.
Mate.
And then he got lucky with the other one as well. So I think with him, he's such a young dude. I say it most weeks, it's going to be up and down with him. But I didn't have too much of a problem with Stoney. On our text chat, I was like, this guy might be the end of me, but it was a joke, and it's because of the high balls. But I thought his meterage was okay today. He ran for 110 meters. But on your point about the big boppers, I mean, Cronulla Blake, man, they just got to pray to God he doesn't get injured ever, because he is what you
we
you
need
just
him.
ride off the back of him, right? And we just need someone else. We need someone else to step up. Looking at the forwards meters tonight, Kobe, I mean, Kafusi had 80 meters, which is almost 3 times what he had last week, but it's still kind of not where we need him to be.
Really?
No one else
I
really
thought
cracked
he
the
was really
100.
good.
He was better. He was a lot better. He got some offloads out. I thought Tuku off the bench was really solid as well.
Yeah, he's always solid, man. I love him.
But
I obviously understand he's a young boy, but yeah, he's good. I love that he's getting first grade experience, but I feel like he needs to step his game up and start to become, that main man. I know he's young, and it's good that he's getting experience, but if he could play for a lot longer than he has been, I don't know, he'd be good.
Yeah, he was good tonight for sure. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. But I'm with you, when Atco comes on, and I mean, I thought Billy Burns was really great tonight. Like, he was safe as houses, but there's not a lot of, there's not a lot of long meters in his runs. Like, gets 5, 6, 7, 8 stops. He doesn't do anything stupid, which I love.
Yeah.
And as I said at the start of the show, I thought Harati was unbelievable in his, I guess, reliability, but also just to step above that and score that try. His defense was great. So, I mean, I think on the last try, maybe he was involved something, but I thought overall, Harati was terrific. But how are you feeling now? 2 losses in a row. Is it doom and gloom for you? What's going on?
See, I look at our draw, and I was talking to my mate about it. He's a massive Sharkies fan. We went to the Doggies game last week. But mate, I don't see us winning against Manly.
Okay.
It's not looking good. It's not doom, but we're in a bit of a rut that we need to dig ourselves out. And plus the injuries doesn't help, man. Like, Billy Burns, he was good, but Teague Wilton in the defense, I think Teague Wilton would have helped massively, but hopefully he's back next week because there's only an illness. Talakai, just, mate, he's always good, like Mr. Reliable. But I see us coming out of it alive.
Yeah.
But yeah, just right now it's not looking too healthy.
Okay. Hey, Kobe, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. We're going to do this most weeks. So please feel free to come on and have a chat.
100%, mate. I love it. I always
you.
listen to you at work, mate.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. We'll say goodbye. You can keep hanging on, tuning in some way, but we'll talk to you soon, Kobe. Appreciate you, man.
Take it easy, bro.
Thanks, man. All right, next up we have Steve. Now, which of the 4,000 Steves is this talking to me?
I'm the one in Brisbane, Sam. I'm the one who messaged you regarding dry weather, wet weather, night weather.
How you doing? Aside from the obvious, how you doing?
I'm going okay. But that game, I mean, there's a few things you would know stat-wise already. We've scored 1 try in the last 3 games in the second half.
Is that right? Okay, you got me.
There was only that try. The last time was the Trindle try against South when he ran himself and scored. We haven't scored a try in the second half. We've been outscored in the second half the last 3 games as well. So the defence, you don't concede 3 tries and a half against any team.
So why do you think that's the case in the second half? What's going on there?
Well, at the start of the season, we'd been coming out of the blocks fast, so it looked like we were front-ended. But tonight, there was nothing. It was try for try, and it was because it was basically 2 average teams. Neither could defend. And then when we did have the ball in their 20, we dropped it twice. That was bad in the first half. And if you look, I'm keeping a close eye on certain players. I'd love to have a camera on every player so I could watch the game 17 times. But Canberra's second hit up of the game, they got through their set of 6 and put a kick in. Kafusi didn't get back behind the line to the 4th tackle. Now, that's not good enough for a person who's on $500,000 a year.
Okay.
Sorry, I look at it, they earn a lot of money. You need to put in and subsequently the next set of 6, He misses the tackle that lets the Canberra first try. He's the first defender to miss the tackle. And he's been out of form all year. Ramien's been now out of form 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
Stone Street trying to catch a bomb. I know it's one of your pet hates. I actually believe what it is he's coming too hard at the ball. So what happens, unless you catch it perfectly, what's it going to do? It's going to bounce straight out. And he got away with 2. He got away with that juggle one. And and he got away with the one that was knocked back, but he missed them. So, and our kicking game, Nico needs, when he kicks, he's got to kick it hard. These are like chip. I'll tell you, this is Chad Townsend like kicking. He doesn't follow through.
Yeah. There were, in the second half, start of the second half, there were a lot of up and unders that probably traveled, 25, 30 meters. I think they're trying to get like the swarming defense there, but you wanted to say kick long, brother, and have a good chase. And that was pretty noticeable. And I think towards the end, they tried to get Trindle to sort of rectify that a bit. But I'm with you there. I think the kicking needs a bit of a look at.
There's some positives. AFB, he makes ground, but no one follows him. If you have a look, Sam, look around him. There's no one waiting for an offload. And it's very easy to defend. They'll let him go a couple. They won't rush up on him in defence. They'll let him go drag someone 5 meters because he's got no one to offload. You can just go, okay, well, let him have the extra 5. They're not going to do anything. Harodi played well. I mean, he
did.
He's standing up. Mawini, Harodi. There was some improvement there. I don't know what Dean Atkinson offers. He come on for Cam McInnes, so he played that lock role.
Yeah,
he does have a quick play the ball, but he's ineffective in taking the ball up. Toby looks good when he comes on, but he's obviously not match fit because he's on for a short stint and they get into the mire. And I mean, that second half, they only scored the 2 points, and it was when they had them down to 12. I mean, what's wrong with the defense is our defense was always our strength. It's not anymore. It's just starting to deteriorate, and I doubt we can hold Manly to under 16 next week. And you need to hold teams under 16 to win.
Yeah, you do. I don't know if this is going to sound strange or not, but I wasn't overly, just on that one look at the game, I wasn't overly disturbed by the defense tonight, considering that I guess the second half they pretty much kept them, scoreless except when it mattered. So I understand the seriousness of that statement, but I also thought, it's going to take something pretty tricky and ridiculous here for them to score, and that's what happened. Now, that doesn't excuse anything, but I think for me at the moment, Steve, the defense isn't really the hugest of issues. I think it's the halves. And the other thing that I'm finding really weird, and I've found it weird for a few years, is we talk about the back 5 and they get all these meters, and we look at the forward pack and we go, well, one of them's making heaps and the rest aren't. How do we balance the fact that we need the forwards to be going forward? I understand that it doesn't really matter at the end of the day who goes forward as long as someone goes forward. But our forwards, I'm sorry to keep saying that word, they're not really getting the hit-ups because the back 5 are doing all the work most sets. Like, how do they kind of squeeze in and have their go? I don't know how to make that work.
Well, either do I, because if you look at it, and because I've been watching it so many years now, Sam, to me, I don't want to see a 42-40 win. I start looking at the tiny things in the game. And AFB, I don't think in the first 3 sets actually touched the ball. Now, he's a prop. He's a prop. I know for the first 2 sets he didn't. He's a prop. Now, the forwards cart the ball up, set the foundation for the backs. I understand ours is a little bit different, but as you're right, how do they get involved? Where do they get involved? And I would rather see AFB taking it up and then a quick play the ball. Then you can have Ronaldo charging instead of tackles 1, 2, 3. It's the backs. Tackle 5 is William Kennedy. I mean, he doesn't bend the line. Wouldn't you? I don't know. I'd prefer a prop to take it up that hit, then put the bomb in, and Kennedy can be chasing through and leaping to potentially catch it. But how can he be involved in the play when he's just been tackled?
Yeah, I don't know. And I understand that when the opposing team kicks, that our forwards are, slowly coming back. I get all that. You're going to lose probably 2 tackles there, but still, I mean, I don't know if it's a problem. It's just a thing that's happening. What do you think about this comment from Nick? He said, Nico supporter forever, but he stinks and needs to go. Today was horrible. His kicks are soft. Positional play in attack is cooked. Now, I think that's a little bit too harsh for me, as in, like, I don't agree with it. Not harsh, but it's just I don't agree with that. But I think that we need to look into both halves and how they're going to work, because Nick is right. Like, it wasn't a great game from either of the halves. They had some nice touches here or there. We scored some points. I get that. But overall, when you've got a one-man advantage and you're really not even going to that side of the field, I think it's something we need to look into.
I agree. I think this, and I think Fitz is a good coach, but him saying the halves, they can play off each other. Every team has a dominant half. And is this the problem, Sam, that sometimes if you've got a dominant half at the Panthers, even when Luai was there with Cleary ran the show. It was Cleary's team. Everyone knew it came to him. With us, do they both drift out sometimes because the other one is waiting for the other one?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? If it's you and me, Sam, and you're the key half, it's you going to run. I'm going to get involved when maybe there's an opportunity and I'll call. Are they both looking for someone to run it? And then there's confusion, because there was a time when Trindle got caught on the 4th or something and he was supposed to kick it, and that we took him out of the play, and you could see Nico looking around. They were confused. Maybe that's the problem. But to say Nico must go, look, hey, every player can be moved on, but the only time you move someone on, if you've got someone better coming in.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm still not convinced that is the overall problem. I understand the attack wasn't great and one more try wins the game, but I thought the overall team performance was just, I mean, it wasn't as bad as the second half last week, but there was just not a lot happening. I mean, they were behind. They did well to come back. They were going neck and neck. They go ahead. I'm happy to concede the last try was a bit of a Hail Mary, but also to get into that position to allow that. There was some very sloppy defense. They weren't stopping the offload. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, Steve, where it's like it's 2 losses in a row. Got Manly and Perth next week. I understand that's a challenge. I don't want to, I don't want to scream from the roof and go everything's screwed and the year's over, because I don't believe that. But I also concede that, they're in a bit of a funk. Now, could it be something as simple as all the travel? I know that's a excuse, but could something like that have something to do with it? Or do you just think they're just not playing well? Like, it's just completely on them. There's no circumstances. We were missing 3 or 4 guys as well. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
I just think they're out of form. I think there's players. I think Raymond's so far out of form in those last 2 games. I mean, he's really. I mean, we were lucky to score. That try, the last try in the first half by Nick when we got that penalty, and we were on our line, and he was involved in one of those passes.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. We've got a bit of a group text going, and it's very honest. It's very emotional, as you can imagine. And I said to the boys on the text, I said they were 2 of the worst sets of 6 that I've ever seen in my life from any team, and I stand by that. And then luckily, I think there might have been a penalty, and then Britain got us that soccer-like try, and we're back in it. And I was happy, because I was like, okay, well, we're starting again. And the second half, they defended better, and you thought they might go on with it. But those 2 sets of 6, when you watch that back, I mean, Stone Street was kicking on the 6. Like, there was something very wrong with those 2 sets of 6. I think the coach will definitely circle that and say, what the hell was this? Why was this? Can we never do this ever again? Because for me, I'm happy for people to sort of go, well, a premiership team doesn't concede this amount of points. I'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever. And there's lots of different ways to look at a premiership team. A premiership team does not do those 2 sets of 6. I'll say 3 times in a year. So I'll give them a bit of leniency here and say, well, they got out of it at that instance. They scored. It was 18-all, beautiful. But yeah, there was some really weird stuff happening tonight. And it's a game that it's a winnable game. Should have won it. Even the circumstances, short turnaround, missing players. It was there to be won. They were leading, and then they let it go. So that is definitely not good enough.
And you remember as well, Canberra played in Townsville under humidity.
Yes.
And their turnaround was the same amount as us.
Great point. Now, our friend Handman says we better flog Manly next week. Well, we'll take the 1-point win. Otherwise, a big change in key positions. Now, is that something you would do, Steve? Are you looking for the 3rd loss in a row? Are you looking to sort of, well, let's do something here? What's your
problem
play?
is, who do we have, Sam? I mean, it's all great. We can say that. And the thing is, whenever you're going to do it, you've got to be able to bring someone in who is better than the person that is there. You know, there's no use making a change for a change. And hey, I know Hiroti was the choice tonight because I've been watching the Jets and people were saying Gabriel, but Gabriel is a right centre. He's not a left centre. So you don't bring up someone, throw him in and then go, mate, you're on the other side of the field. I would see if Iro's back, I would be definitely looking then to playing Hiroti on the wing over Stone Street. Maybe he needs just a breakdown.
Okay.
But that's not a significant change to the team. And when people say changes, they mean
spine.
Key. And maybe spine or maybe Kafusi needs a break. I'd maybe start with Toby. It depends when you get Talakai back. And then if you start with Toby, Tukes looked better, and maybe that bench needs an overhaul. And do we go to a 4-man, 4-forward bench, or do they like this Fitz or Atkinson there, or do you play Hoepa Peru on the bench to mix it up? I mean, you only make a change if you believe it's going to be better for the team. You just don't go, okay, well, we're out of form. Let's throw that. It's like, okay, Ramian's out of form, but are you going to throw him out and put Gabriel in?
No,
not
at this point. No,
that's right.
Let me ask you this, Steve. Say we snuck away with that win and we win 20-18. Okay, we're feeling lucky. We're feeling like we need to improve. Are we having these same discussions? Is it the loss? Is it the L next to our name? Is that what's making us so emotional?
The loss will always get the endorphins going more, but the way they performed, it wasn't good. As you said, the kicking game was off. We looked disjointed. So we would have said we got away with that, and I think we would have been still upset because we would have said we only put 2 on them when they were down to 12 men. They hung in there. If you look at the ball they had in the second half, Canberra, they were hardly in our half. They were basically rucking it out all the time. They didn't have many sets. The penalty count was 6 or 7-2 to our favour. So even if we would have won, I think we would have said, well, we got out of that one. How are we going to improve? I mean, and the problem is the season's not over, but as you know, you've got to finish in the top 4. You don't want to start giving teams starts. And you've got a team like the Bulldogs who, they went into the comp this year. You had said top 8, not top 4. They weren't, but they've got those points up. And now you've got to chase them down. If they win on the weekend, they're 6 points in front of us. And that's one of those top 4 spots.
Yep.
And this is where it all starts to, and we've got a lot of away games, or this is a designated home game next week. It's just, I don't know. And, our team's very settled. So where do you, it's Fitz will say, I know what his interview will be tonight. It's a learning experience. We've learned from the game, a couple of plays, but how many things can you learn before you can't learn anymore? These players have all been together for so long, and bar Stone, there's only a couple of players out there who have had less than 80 games. They've all had a lot of games now.
So I think the thing that's confusing me right now is that you know, as you know, and our listeners know, I'm very blessed to be around this team at least once a week, and I see them up close. They're a close team. They're all friends. There's no issues. They play for each other. We saw it in the first 3 weeks, including the loss against Penrith. They play for each other. In the last 2 weeks, particularly the last three halves of football, there's been a real lack of energy and cohesion. And we saw with that last play, and as Woodsy said, I've kept it up on the screen, it's not the bounce of the ball. There was no one back there. It could have bounced anyway, and a Raiders player would have been there. And that's really, I've got to stop saying Hail Mary because that's really true from Woodsy. So thank you for that. And I guess my point is they have all this energy, Canberra, and they played in, as you said, like 40-degree weather last week at the same day that we played down at Canberra, short turnaround. We played against Canterbury. Why are we not bouncing out of our skin to stop that try? Why are we not bouncing out of our skin at the moment? It's week 5. So we start up, come back down, hopefully we go back up. But I'm just wondering, why are we not playing with that same energy as some of these other teams? Canberra are not a very good team, but what they do really, really well. And they did it tonight. They hung in there, and when they needed that energy, bam, let's go. Why do you think what do you think is going on there, Steve? Can you help me out in any way?
I don't know. It was like I watch soccer now and then, right? And it was like we got to the 2-0 lead and we played like a soccer team when you're up 1. We just went into basically go through the motions, hold them out. We can bank that they won't score. And there was, you even have a look, even from that time they had the player in the sin bin, Canberra, our energy levels didn't lift. We had an opportunity to put them to the sword. They get Hudson Young back on the field. Their energy levels lift. We're still going through the motions. Jamal Fogarty has that drop ball. We get back down there. We don't do anything with it. Trindle gets tackled near the line. They get a set. They're still going nowhere. Then, the Hail Mary. But as you said, and that Hail Mary, every Canberra player is moving. Every Canberra player was moving forward, trying to get there. Our guys were basically going, oh, how do we just kill this ball? And then it was just like, it's like they'd shut down. They'd gone, we've got this game, and that shocked them, weren't around, couldn't get there, and that's it. And there's no second chance. So I don't know the reason why, but it's very hard to, when you have that defensive mindset that we can see this game out, and that's looked like how they were, because there was we hardly went for a try. We hardly tried a trick shot in the last 10 to 15 minutes. It was like, and I'm going, we only need to score once more. We hit that 8-point lead. It's all over.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we paid for it. We paid for it because we didn't put them to the sword. And they just look, they look, I don't know, maybe it is the travel, but it's just not going to say it because then it becomes an excuse. The illness is that, but
the problem, Steve, the problem if it is the travel, like and it's a big if, is that we have Perth next week, and then we're not back at Shark Park for another 6 weeks. I don't think it's as bad as what it's been, but we're still not home for 6 weeks. So we're hoping it's not the travel, because next week they're going halfway across Australia to play.
And if they keep dropping games, if they drop next week, it's 2 and 4, and then it starts to get, you've got to start picking up games where you thought that that one was one we could get away with. Then then even Magic Rammer got Parramatta, who you're going to say, that we should win. That's game, isn't it? Mitch Moses is due back. And remember last year, that's the game he came back and put us to the sword.
So I've already thought about that. I've already thought about that, Steve, playing Para at Magic Round, the opening game. Both sets of fans up there going crazy. Yeah, they're not having a win. It's like, oh, okay, this is a good setup. But our team has to be better than that. It's simple. Like, if we're going to be a top 4 team, let alone a top 8 team, you got to be better than that. So I'm not putting the jinx on and saying that's going to happen. I'm saying I've thought about that, and obviously we need to overcome that kind of thing, which I think we can. I actually think next week against Manly is doable. I think we're going to have we'll definitely have Talakai back. I've heard from a very good source that if we want him to play, BHU will be fit and ready to go. So there's a couple of guys coming back. I don't think Euro will be back in that time. And I'm imagining Teague will be back as well. So it's not all doom and gloom as far as player personnel goes. I think that they're just, I don't think they're just around the corner from a win, but I think tonight they should have won. Last week, in my opinion, they should have won. I think that a win can turn it around. It doesn't make everything disappear. It doesn't make the halves click. It doesn't make them amazing. It doesn't make Will Kennedy perfect in position. But I think a win, it just calms us all down a little bit. And I think that Manly in Perth, away from Brookie, no Travojevic, I think that it's doable. I'm not going to lose sleep over that one. I think it'll be tough. They're a good team, obviously. They're a really good team. And the way we're going,
like us.
we're not playing that good. So we need to step it up. But, it is one game at a time, and that's what's next. So Eleanor says a shout out to Britton Nickera, who was awesome. And I'll say this, from Eleanor's from Ellie and the Vandals, local band. If you want to go see a great band, go see them. Really good in the first half. I didn't see much of him in the second half. I need to rewatch it. That's just my opinion. But second half, I was like, where's our best player from the first half? But you're right. He kept us in the game. Thank you for tuning in, Eleanor. Brad says, go ahead.
So I was going to say, maybe they need a slight attitude change. This is me. You see the Bulldogs and you see Mahoney, how he gets stuck in.
Yeah.
And he needles and he does everything. And when we say a player on the ground, we just put a finger on them and do it. And I know the rules. You can drop your shoulder into someone on the ground. And we should have done it last week, the last play on Connor Tracy, just to do a point, even though we'd lost the game, just to make an example. And I'd like to see Nico. It's like Nico becomes the heel. All of a sudden, he just, gets someone on the ground and drops his shoulder. It's legit, can't be penalised. And all of a sudden, does that snap everyone in the team that all of a sudden the good guy is now gone whack? Someone has to do something.
For those unaware, Steve, we have entered WrestleMania season, and I know it because you're mentioning the word heel. You're about to say the word face. Yeah, but I'm a little concerned when you think this is what we need to do. In all seriousness.
But you know how that can fire a team up. It works brilliant on the Bulldogs, and it suckered us in. And the person he does it next week on is Cherry Evans. That's his mate. Do it to your mate. That's what you do. And maybe that fires us up. Because there's no, that killer instinct. That's why I loved Gal and players before him like Kurt Sorensen, Steve Neen, Tommy Bishop. We don't have, Fanua Blake does all these jobs, but we don't have someone out there who wants to kill someone. Remember Luke Lewis and Wade Graham? I remember the time Lewis hit Moylan, nearly ripped his cartilage, his rib cage out, and Wade Graham to Cooper Cronk.
Yeah.
Do we have a player in the team that does that?
That's different to what you're talking about with Reed Marnie, though.
Yeah, but we had Mick Ennis.
Yeah, but he was more lippy than physical growth. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying you want them to be a bit more menacing. I get it.
Someone has to do Ronaldo, but he's on the wing. We need someone to sort of go, we're not going to take a backward step. And maybe it fires everyone up because Cam's a great captain, but he's too nice. I like someone who, but that's Gal wouldn't have copped that tonight. Put it this way, Gal would have got the troops going. And are we just missing that? Is it the edge? Has that been the problem for every year? How we've got close, but we're missing that the edge. We just need the edge, I think.
Well,
maybe that's it.
I think the word I would replace that with, Steve, is leadership. And I've been thinking about this for the past few weeks. And I thought tonight we were getting closer to that. I thought that at times, and hear me out, at times, I thought Trindle, I thought Fanua Blake, definitely Nickera. At times, McInnes, and definitely Big Tuku. I thought they were saying, follow me, and the whole team kind of didn't. But they only had fits and bursts. It wasn't a great, 20-minute effort from any of those guys in that role of being the leader, although Britain was pretty good in the first half. But I think that's kind of what as soon as you say Gallon, I think of leader. So I guess Fanua Blake is the guy. But as everyone keeps pointing out to me tonight, there's no one following him literally in waiting for the offload. So maybe that's something we need to emphasize. Ryan says it's doom. It's the same rut for years. And things get tough and they wilt up against 12 men and they score 2 points. That's embarrassing. It was the Raiders, not the Storm. Yeah, that cuts to it, my man Ryan. Thanks for getting in touch. I was pretty concerned when there were no points scored in those 10 minutes, aside from the penalty goal, and even the fact they went for the penalty goal. I understand it could have been the match-winning play, but also, and there's no right or wrong there, because you could play it either way. You could say, well, they should have gone for the try, and then they get the 2 points. So I'm not that guy, but when they went for that, I went, oh, okay, this is interesting. That got me thinking.
And that call was from the coach, because you see the call from the sideline, the 2 fingers. Now, that works. What happens if we would have scored a converted try following in that 10, then it's an 8-point lead, and it all works out perfectly.
Absolutely.
It goes the other way. We take the kick for touch and we drop the ball on the first tackle, and then everyone's screaming saying they should have taken the 2.
Yes, of course.
You know, it always works out that way. But it was more that we didn't do anything when we got the ball back. It was like, I don't know, Sam. We are right on Fonua Blake. They've got a following. There's got to be 2. 1, there's got to be support play, and 2, when he gets up to play that ball, they should be going gung ho straight down the guts again, because on the back of his quick play the ball, and he drags 3 in. But they seem to be getting away from it, and I don't know. He's crash play. They should be setting him up for a crash play near the line, not 15 out, but when it's that 10 out, there just seems to be, they're out by like 5% on everything. Everything just seems to be out fractionally, and then that's disjointed everywhere. So it's hard to see where the improvement shouldn't be hard. It's not like, hey, we're not getting lapped. That's the thing, is we're not getting lapped.
Yeah.
But there's something wrong, and I don't know. When was the last time Blake Brayley put a kick in? I mean, he used to kick now and then.
Good point.
He doesn't get out and put a kick in. And remember, he's already 10 meters downfield, then passing it back. And then he only has to do it once to make the opposition think. The wingers drop back a little bit earlier, so then you can go wide and there's more yardage on the wing.
Now, Steve, you're a diehard fan, like all of our listeners. Brad has put this up. He said, we aren't a top 8 team. I disagree with that. The halves don't work well together. I think that's very debatable. But on Brad's point, he says both are on long-term deals. What do we do? So say you, Steve, you're the GM of the Sharks and you want to make a change to the halves. What do you do and how do you do it? And I'm talking contract.
Are you talking, their contract, they don't have to Nico's got a 5-year deal left or something like that. But we all know contracts mean nothing if you can move someone on, and PNG's coming in. So they will want players. We've also got that kid, Riley Pollard, and he's good. He's the future. He will jump past. At the moment, I've been watching him play, and Peru's playing better than him in the halves, but Pollard's just brand new.
Yeah.
I would be saying, I think Trindle can look at a contract the end of next year. If we haven't won it by next year, you're moving one of those 2 on, and Pollard becomes your next man in, because you won't be able to retain him if he doesn't have an avenue to play first grade, because we all know what they want. All these clubs want halves, and you wouldn't be able to keep 3 quality halves. You can keep 2 quality halves, and then we've got, even Atkinson's moving on because he gets paid more. And so you can have that, the one who's coming through, or the journey. It's like the Roosters signed Chad. He's not expensive. So you can't keep the 3. I would be saying, if we don't win it by next year, then one of them moves on. And which one it is, I don't know. Which one is, obviously Nico takes up most of the cap. He's the one who's going to be the expensive one, but he's marketable. But how do you look at it? Is it just on field, or both on and off field, you take into comparison when you go to move someone on. But I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Pollard's he's the man going forward. And what's Nico? He's 28 or 29 already.
Yeah.
So, but Parv seemed to be playing longer and longer, but he's had those hamstring issues. So is he a DCE who gets to 37?
Yeah, I don't know about that. But I appreciate those thoughts. Hey, Steve, we'll get you to hang on and we'll chat some more. I just want to say if anyone else wants to jump on, there's a link in the comments. And a couple of people tried and we didn't have much luck. All you've got to do is make sure your microphone on your end, microphone, so to speak, is not muted. And then you'll be able to talk. And so jump on if you want. No pressure if you don't want to. Steve and I are having a good time. Daniel says, gut-wrenching after having so much hope going into the season. This interests me a lot, Steve. Have we, and I am number one candidate here, have we put too much on this team too early? And I mean, we were 20 minutes from a grand final and Fanua Blake comes around. What do you want us to say? Like, this is it. Let's go. Have we put too much too early into this team?
I don't think so. I mean, where we finished, okay, so there was obviously last year, there was two top teams, Penrith and Melbourne. We were the next level down with the Roosters. If you look at those results, when the four of them played each other in the finals, the combined score of what us and the Roosters got against the Panthers and the Storm in both those games, they were a step ahead. We were close in that preliminary final. We got Fanua Blake in. We lost no one of note, like Jack Williams. Let's say we lost Jack Williams and Royce Hunt, but certainly offset by the gain of Fanua Blake, who's come into the team. So you would expect we're taking the next step up because you look around and go, okay, Penrith were weakened. Melbourne basically had the same team. There was hardly any movement. So you think we basically go up one level. The teams will have to improve to get to us who are below us. We're not going backwards. Our team is not a team that looked like it was going to go backwards. So, yeah, we should have been pumped for the year because we've also got players like, Jesse Colquhoun is close to back and he's like a new player because he played one game for, 11 minutes last season. So it's actually like two brand new signings to the club. And we lost Finucane, but he was gone after 5 rounds. So we really hadn't lost him. So, yeah, we should have been excited and thinking, hey, we could take up to the next level.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. There seems to be... Yeah, and I can understand how people are getting frustrated and concerned because we're 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But like if we drop the 2 and 4, then I start to get concerned. I'm thinking, is the top 4 then starting to get away? Because that's
we've still got the origin period to come, and we're not, unless I'm doing my math wrong, we're not going to be overly affected by that. So that could be a good time to make your run or start your run. And I haven't looked at who we're playing, etc. But you would hope there would be 1 or 2 games at least where you might be able to do the catch up and play the Broncos or whoever, and they're affected. We're not. So we're not even close to kind of throwing it all away. But I completely understand everyone's emotions. I feel the same way tonight. It's just not good enough, right? Like we expect more and we should be getting that, and it wasn't all a disaster. There were some positives. I mean, looking at the team list, I would say Hiroti was really good. I thought Ronaldo was actually pretty good tonight. Fanua Blake was terrific. There was improvement in Kafusi, although he's got a long way to go on his form. I thought Britt was pretty good. Burns was solid, and I thought Chuku was really good too. So there were positives there. It doesn't get us to 2 points. Greg wrote in and said something about the goal kicker wasting time. And he's saying, why do they get at minute 40, which they do? And it is very weird how they do all this stuff. Through my job at Fox, I've learnt the ins and outs about the clock and how to start and stop and when it's everything you can and can't do. And it's a really weird situation. None of it's stable. It's all different at different times. So it doesn't really make sense there, Greg, to even worry about that. It's out of our control, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and Greg's if he's old like me, Sam, they tried it where every time there was a try scored, they stopped the clock one year and games dragged on for like 2 hours because as soon as it was try, clock stopped, and then the goal kicker takes longer and then restart the clock. So you have a high scoring game, it would just drag forever. So it lasted, I think, one season. I don't even know if it was the NRL. It could have been the New South Wales Rugby League, and it was thrown out. So, and look, hey, let's flip it. And great point. But if we would have done that and scored, we would have taken the same amount of time for that kick.
Now, I feel like this could be directed at me. I'm not sure, Chris. You don't have to tell me, actually. But he says, what are we sugarcoating this week? Attack was clunky and completely lacking in creativity. Horrendous bombs. Kennedy found out a lot in defense. We're a top 4 team on paper, nowhere else. So let's stick with that last bit. We are a top 4 team on paper. Is that true in your eyes, Steve? And nowhere else, I should say.
On paper, we are.
As in, that's all we are. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we've made the top 4, what? 2 out of the 3 seasons Fitz has been there. So, yeah, on paper, we're definitely top 4. Can we go the next level? Who knows? But we haven't been able to do it.
I think Chris is saying at the moment, we're not even close.
No. Well, at the moment, Chris is right. Over the last 2 games, he's right. You know, when we might be a top 4 on paper, but when we've been out on the field, we've been out enthused 2 games in a row, bullied 1 game and out enthused in another, out enthused in the second. In the first one, bullied and out enthused. This one, out enthused. So, yeah, he's right on that. Look, Kennedy, yes, the last couple of games, the kick chase has been a lot better on him.
Yep. And
that has stifled his attack. Tonight, I seen him throw a pass early to Stone Street to give him some room to move. But obviously, teams have watched him, like good coaches do, and go, this is how we can pin him. His defense tonight was not the best, but hey, it doesn't help when the guys in front, like Kafusi and Brayley, were missing tackles. And then, hey, it's left him on the goal line, and the guy's got more room to get around. It's a bit hard to blame it on him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's definitely come down the last 2 games, but I mean, a whole bunch of them have. Yeah. Dave says we've lost connection big time. How does that happen after years together? We've failed to reinvent and have been found out due to the same old. And connection is something that the team, the individuals, when I interview them every week, they talk about the connection together, whether it's on, off during the game. And I mean, I guess it's something I don't really understand, because as Dave says, how do you lose your connection with your mates and with your colleagues? And obviously, you know, you're going to concede tries, you're going to concede points. It's footy. I get it. But I don't know if we've lost connection big time is what Dave's saying, but there's definitely in the past 2 weeks, and I guess even in that second half against Souths, there's something lacking, and we need to see a big turnaround against Manly. You people know I'm probably going to tell you that I could actually see it happening, but it's not going to happen magically. It's going to take some hard work. It's going to take some reinforcements. But yeah, all eyes are on Perth, which is an interesting thing. Avocado Shark, great name, says the bench struggled tonight. So we had Akko with 50 meters. We had Hazelton with 72. Rudolph had 3 runs for 30. Didn't get much of a shot. And Tuku had about 75 meters. And I did notice that when the troops came back, Steve, in the second half, around the 60th minute or whatever, we looked a little bit more likely. So I think that's a good analysis from Avocado Shark.
It's also with the bench.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, with the bench, Sam, I think people got to also try to gauge, like, at the start of the game, it's set for set early on. Normally, unless a team, you know, caves and concedes a couple of early tries. So normally you get 5 sets each before anything really happens. But when the bench comes on, it can swing either one or 2 ways. It can be when you're going through a defensive phase or an attacking phase. So Toby had 3 hit-ups for 30 meters. But if we're doing a lot more work in defense at that stage, you don't get the opportunity to have those hit-ups. So sometimes I think bench stats can get a bit, you know, out of funk, where starting stats, then you can go, okay, well, he's on the field for the first 25 minutes. How many hit-ups did he do if we've got the ball, you know, 49 to 51% or whatever it is? But if you're out there, and it'd be good if, I don't know, if they could ever do those stats, is go to like, it'd be great to say, like, so Toby's on the field for 35 minutes, and that period of time, the Sharks had the ball 25% of it, or had it for 6 sets. Then you could go, 6 sets, 2 hit-ups, that's 6x5 is normally the 30. So he took 2 hit-ups in 30 tackles. Then you could start maybe that's a stat they could do.
Yeah, we actually do all that stuff, Steve. It's just hard to kind of pull out and go, here's what it is. We have to do a bit of researching on that. But every stat you can imagine actually gets done. But you're right. Like that would be good to have quick access to. I do have to say, Steve, we've had a million comments here. I'm trying to go through them. I'm throwing them up, and we're talking about some of them. Our old friend Steve's here, and he said a big name needs to move on. And then we have other things like Ghost says Nico is still good, but in a dominant half, and Trindle is it. Our friend Lush in Melbourne says, I hate to say it, but he's off Nico. So there's a theme happening here, and I'm not happy about it because I just want my team to win. And Scott's talking about stats as well. Wesley, I'm not going to put that one up, Wes, but you said it's not good because that's who we are. Sean says, can AFB do anything more? Dangerous in attack, looking for an offload, no avail. He's had more post-contact meters than Confuci has run meters. That's 2 weeks in a row, which someone else has pointed out as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't think AFB can actually do any more. I mean, they could make him play 5 more minutes maybe, but you probably don't want that. He was outstanding tonight, I thought. He was the guy keeping us in it. Just with his runs were amazing. Are you happy with how he's going, Steve, so far?
I'm really happy. Like I said that comment, I mean, no Shark had done more post-contact meters since Jaws at Amity Island. But he's the only one who goes forward, Sam. He's the only one who we don't have. So the thing, every team is structured differently. We don't have 2 back rowers who are going to do over 100 meters each week. They're not designed. Our back rowers aren't designed like that. Cam does, but Cam does his meters in a different way. AFB barges over and he sucks 3 and 4 people in every tackle. And you see his post contact, he just drags them. And he's got that late footwork as well. He can't do any more. I mean, and you don't want to flog him. You don't want to play him 70 minutes a game because we can do that. And then I'll tell you, come the finals, that's when we need him to do that 70. He won't have 70 in his tank. He'll have 50. And then when he's off the field for that 30, that's when we'll fall over. So he can't do any more. It's the people around him have got to support him. And that's what they kept saying. He's coming in. Who's going to be that forward that charges with him, who goes with him? And he did that at the Warriors. So the other prop, I can't remember who they've got at the Warriors. Oh, Barnett. So Barnett would follow up for Cronulla Blake, and Barnett became such a better player. And maybe it's not. I don't think it's. Maybe it's. I've seen someone put a comment up, and maybe in a couple of weeks, it's Jesse Colquhoun. He's got speed. He's got footwork. He just has to get his. He could be the person to start with for Cronulla Blake and be under the learning tree. Another wrestling comment.
To start is ambitious, given he's played only a few games in like 2 years.
Yeah. I'm saying give him a couple of weeks.
I hear what you're saying.
He could start and do 20. He only has to start and do 20. You could do him for 20, bring on Toby, who plays out the rest of the half for 20, and then at the 30th minute, Cronulla Blake comes off and on goes Tukes. And you have that rotating, and then then it's who else is available, and you've got Talakai as well. But someone's got to go with him. If no one goes with him, what's the use of having him? We'll flog him. It will flog him. He'll be shattered by the end of the season, and that's not what you want. You need him come finals, and I'm talking finals because we'll be there. You need him at 100%. You don't want to flog him till we get there, and then he's got nothing left in the tank.
Now, Chris says, so we're a bit behind with these comments, so we're trying to catch up. But Chris says, travel, it's 2-hour bus trip to Canberra. I spend more time in traffic on the way to work. All I'm saying, Chris, is that as a whole, they've done a lot of travel. That's all I'm saying. I feel like Chris and I are like sparring here. I agree. You're right. A 2-hour bus trip, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about any kind of chance there's wear and tear on the body from travel to other places. Just to be
You're
clear.
talking combined.
You make a
it's
great
a
point, Chris.
combined travel.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if you look at the
even
travel,
that, sure, because then we can say, well, they played in Townsville last week in 40-degree weather. So, I mean, it all evens out, I'm guessing.
and probably this way, Sam, if they would have lost tonight, they could be doing a podcast going, well, we went to Vegas, we've been to Townsville, we had to play in the heat, we've just got down there, and there's their excuse. They could use the travel excuse as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
shout out to our man Barnsey who's watching. He's the merch king at Cronulla, and we'll just leave it at that. He's a great man. He's watching or listening or something. He's watching. Daniel says he misses the Tongan fishermen. Look, we all do, and it's not to say that they'd even be in a different place to where they are right now, but I think it's a general statement. We do all miss Sione Katoa.
you don't know what you miss till he's not there.
That's true. Ellie from Ellie and the Vandals says we need a bad boy ? Well, we got one. We need more of them, I think, is what everyone's saying. Maybe that's going to be the storyline for the next few weeks. We need to be, maybe this is it, Steve. Maybe you're right. We need to be heels. We don't agree with the Mahoney stuff, but maybe we need to be heels.
You know, we need Nico needs to become Dominic Mysterio.
Dominic, I'm thinking worse than that, to be fair, but I like where you're going.
But we just, and I think maybe we just need someone with to show some visible aggro. You know, Fanua Blake does it in a different way. I loved it when Luke Lewis used to chase those kicks down and smash the fullback. And that was the type of aggro that would lift the team. And we get down there and we just capture them. I don't know. I just like to see inflict a bit of pain on people, you know? So they know that we're in there for a fight. And that's what people are saying is when it gets to a fight, that's when we back down.
Yes, there is a bit of that going on too, and we can't argue with that. I've just jumped over to Instagram. It's Tech and myself, Steve. We get on okay, but for some reason, the Instagram comments I have to go look at. So here they are from the start. Everyone get a pillow and a bite to eat because here we go. Alex says a brave live stream. So cheers to you. Erica says that was an absolute, here's the one swear word, shit show. Ben McGregor says, don't do it, Sam. Well, we did it. Greasy Smitty said we threw that away tonight. We're going to go through these. Penbrook said Sharks had no urgency after going in front. And we've discussed that. Absolutely true. B Rattle says Trindle and Hines ain't it. Ryan says if Flano was coach, this team could win a comp. Mr. Jersey Collector said Nico needs to be dropped and we need a decent fullback. The Green Machine pod have joined. They say Adam was a beast as usual tonight. He needed more help in the middle. Fair shout out. We love the Green Machine pod. If you guys are still on and not podding, we love you guys. So well done on the win. And you guys are awesome podcast. We've got so many people here. Ash has joined. Make a tackle and win, says Ash. That's pretty cool. Green Machine Pod says, I'm arched up. He's pretty pumped up. Okay. Ash says, we can't make the 8. Hello to my nephew, Thomas, who's watching. Brisbane Steve says, how do I get on there so I can cry? Oh, Steve. Okay. Brisbane Steve. So you got to go to YouTube or Facebook, get the link and jump on and we'll have you. Kobe's been on. That was awesome to speak to Kobe. Rebecca's watching. Sonia's watching. A lot of people are watching, which is awesome. 50% confirms it's nothing to do with travel, so I need to probably back down on that, which I'm happy to do. Brooksy, my nemesis Brooksy. Send Atco to the Dragons so he can play finals footy. Brooksy, how dare you? How dare you? Hello to Lynn, who was watching. She was at the game. Brooksy's giving it to us. I don't like that. Kapowie says this one was beyond gut-wrenching. I agree. Our halves lost us the game in the final 20. They couldn't ice the win. Oh, Steve, this is a brutal live stream. But I'm having fun at least. We're getting it out of our system, right? This is what it's all about. When we started doing this 11 years ago, Steve, with the great Adam Newman and I, part of the deal was we wanted to do a post game, which we did with the Sharks for probably 3 or 4 years, and it was based on my beloved Minnesota Vikings having this show called the Vikings Vent Line, and it was for nights like tonight where you just jump on and go, "Oh, what the hell happened?" So obviously we've had a pretty good time over the 11 years. There hasn't been a lot of times where we've been upset. That's why we lose 2 in a row and we don't know what the hell's going on. And that's not a bad place to be in, to be fair. GTT says taking the 2 was super necessary. The game was close. Yeah, that's fair enough. Can't disagree with that. Chris said, here you go, some praise for you, Steve. Chris says the Steve bloke is on point. I might be too close to the group, hesitant. No, that's not true. That's not true, Chris. Do not believe. For our listeners who are listening and not watching, there's a theory out there that I'm too close to the Sharks and I can't say bad stuff about the Sharks. I can say whatever the hell I want about the Sharks. That is a fact. So, Chris, I'm here to tell you that is incorrect.
And that's a different person. That's not me. That's not my alias either, Sam.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But Steve, you are on point, which is great, and it's been fun chatting with you. Jimmy says, tough draw this year. Oh, here we go. It'll finally make you delusional podcasters realize how bad this team is. This is amazing. I feel like you guys are the heels and I'm the face. Delusional podcasters. Well, there's 3 Sharks podcasts out there. You're not talking about Sharkcast, surely. Jimmy, respect to you. I appreciate that. Luce says, make a play for DCE. Just kidding. But seriously. Wow, people are really upset, and I'm sorry about that. I'm upset. You probably can't tell. This is just how I sound every week. Hey. Nick says, Fitz talks a lot about connection, but there's no connection. The right side attack has been pretty poor. Love Fitzy, but there was a game plan tonight to not play expansive, but why? That's a really good question from Nick. They did expand a bit, but it fell to pieces most times. And then when they were down to 12 men, they didn't go for it. So
I could understand the left side, them not wanting to be expansive on the left because you've got Hiroti and Burns have just come into the team. But that's where we had success. That's when Hiroti burnt Timoko and went for the try. When we went right, yes, Nikora scored 2 tries. One was sheer strength when he pulled over, and the other one was the 3 kick try. But when we went right, it was disjointed, and it was Nico to Ramian. Nikora was fine. Stone Street was okay, but Hines and Ramian, they were the ones who were disjointed. And it's been Jesse for 2 weeks now. And when you've got a young winger, he's going to be following him. So Jesse really has to be 100%. Where, Sione would be going, oh, I know Jesse. I know what he's going to. I can sort of go. If he's leaning to the right, I know what he's going to do because he's played next to him for so long. But Jesse's got to realise that Sam's not going to know all these moves, so he's got to be pinpoint. And that flick tonight, he's never been. When you're making mistakes, you go back to the simple things, and Jesse should just go back to the simple things. Hard running, that's his strength. When his things aren't going right, just run it hard, and you make your post-contact meters. You may drag the winger in, you might break a tackle, then you can set something up. But he didn't, and then Nico was out of. It was just that 5% stuff. Yeah.
Daniel says, disappointing loss. What are you guys' opinions on potentially going after young Melbourne fullback Silfalogo? I wish Ison was fit. Well, your wish will not come true for about a year, my friend. But I'm happy to go for a guy like Falogo. I mean, I do talk about Will Kennedy being positive most weeks, and I'm not saying he's not. But I also every week tell you that he's not the best out there. There are other ones out there. They're just not available. A guy like Falogo would bring a lot to us. He's a very different player, though. He probably is not as safe, but he'd bring that X factor that a lot of people think Will doesn't. What did you think of Will tonight? He's topical every week, Steve. What do you think of Will?
Well, I'll be up front, and so I've never been the biggest Will Kennedy fan. At least that
I remember,
way. Yep. So I'm up front with that. And the two, he'd been good till the last couple of games. I think the Bulldogs shut him down tonight. He was no worse than anyone else out there. He was no worse.
Mhm.
So it's very hard for people to throw Will under the bus unless you're throwing the whole team under the bus, bar a very minute couple of people out there. And yeah, he struggled. But it's very hard when you're the fullback to do a huge amount unless people are going forward, you know. And actually, if you remember, he was the person who put the ball into Hirotti's hands for the try.
Yeah, he also
So
stopped a try as well, which no one's going to
that's
talk
right.
about. And I'm not here to bring it up like and say it's a headline, but he stopped the
Yep.
try as well.
That's right.
Our good friend Brendan says, what do you think about Nico's last tackle kicks? When does the coach pull it up? So we discussed that earlier on, Brendan, and nowhere near good enough, just going up and not going far. And I had texts from people tonight who know a lot about the game, and they played the game, and they were also commenting on that kind of stuff. So whether it's part of the game plan, I have no idea. But I as far as when the coach pulls it up, I mean, I'm assuming that he talks to him every week about his game. So I don't really know, but I was also frustrated with those kicks. Ash from the Sharks says this. So Ash, we need to go when everyone's feeling a bit happier in the morning. And how do I put this without getting abused by everyone? I'm just going to say this. Ash works for the Sharks. She works in the merchandise store. She's an amazing human being, an amazing employee. And she says this: Hines as Dom Mysterio would be amazing. Just needs the dirty moustache. There you go, Ash. She also, this is why we love Ash. Look at this one. She says, Dragons in the finals, Brooksy. Sure. Adam Flanagan, good friend of the show, says, I thought it wasn't that bad. A fluke try in the last minute. Now, that sounds like something I would normally say. I'm not saying it tonight. I definitely respect your opinion, Adam, and I'm happy to hear it. Like, seriously, I'm glad to hear that, because there's a lot of darkness out there tonight. That's a bit of in between. But I do think we need to stop that last try. Like, you could see it coming from a minute away, and it went left, and then went right, and there was a kick, and then there was a bounce, and then no one was there, and that's not good enough. So it's just not good enough. Like, if they snuck away with that win, I'd be happy to move on and go, let's improve on that. But the fact that they couldn't pull it out, they couldn't hang on, they didn't look like scoring, and then to give up a try like that, there were so many moments you could have stopped it. And I'm glad people stopped me from talking about the bounce of the ball, because there were so many moments throughout that last try you could have stopped, and they just didn't. So that is not good. Wesley's got a funny comment here. I'm assuming it's funny. I hope this isn't offensive. Our halves partners like Oprah and Jerry Springer, they just don't mix. I'm just gonna leave that one there. We'll move on. Daniel says we've got great young fullback in Cade Blacks and also Liam Isom. So Liam's out for at least a year. Cade is making his return to the Jets this week. I actually had the opportunity to chat with him. He's looking good. He's confident. He looks healthy. He's fit. He's ready to go. So he's going to have to spend some time there, though. One good game will not be enough, because he's played a handful of games in like 2 or 3 years. So, but he is there, and he has got talent. And so let's hope that he can get back to being in contention. What else have we got here? This is a good one, always topical. Nathan says, is Fitzy too matey with the boys? He might need to be harder and drop players. I don't think he's too matey with the boys from what I can see. He's a pretty serious dude. He's a pretty serious guy, Fitzy. Like, he probably takes this more seriously than anyone can probably imagine. And a good example of this is last week against the Canterbury Bulldogs. I walked out of the stadium behind him. I didn't have the guts to talk to him because he looked like he was in a foul mood. And he looked like he was didn't want to talk to anyone. It was only about 45 minutes after the loss. He was out the stadium. He was stewing. He was brewing. He was doing all sorts of things. And he takes his stuff. He doesn't like losing. So I don't think he's too matey with them personally. I obviously have a great faith in what he's done and what he's doing. But there has to be some change. Absolutely. Like I'm all for that. Wesley does say he was joking. Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to say, Sam, if you were comparing Fitz to other coaches that there is, I mean, you get the Bellamy and the Ricky that rant and rave, and the Desi Hasler, they do that rant and rave when things don't go well.
Yeah.
Fitz isn't. I sort of look at Fitz, and he's his own man, but I see a bit of a cross of like an Ivan Cleary, Wayne Bennett. He'll take people under his wing, but he's also he's very systematic, and where he doesn't rant, and you don't see those two rant and rave ever. They're different how they handle things. He's his own man, but Serraldo's a bit similar to Fitz.
Yeah.
It's that maybe it's a different generation thing, but they're definitely not ranters and ravers. We don't know what they're like when they pull the players aside. Maybe the paint's coming off the walls, but it's not in public, and it's different to other coaches. But I see that where Cleary, you never see Cleary lose the plot in a thing where you'll see Desi will lose it, and Ricky does it every second week. If they would have lost tonight, Ricky would have lost the plot.
Yes, yes, he would have talked about the sin bin and the obstruction and everything else.
Yeah.
I don't know who to compare him to, but I'll say this. He keeps his cards extremely close to his chest. He hates doing interviews. He hates doing press. He hates doing press conferences. He only really does what he's legally obligated to do, so to speak. And then he'll do a handful of things. I'm at the bottom of the pile of anything, but it took me, I think, 2 or 3 seasons to get a chat with him. And then when we did, we got on great and it was fine. But there was no come talk to the coach. It was like, well, no, he doesn't do that. Like he keeps his cards close to his chest. He takes it real seriously. I don't think you'll see him blow up in a presser unless it was like, a finals loss on the bell and it was a refereeing thing or something, or an illegality or something like that. He's just not his style. And I know that the fans want to hear things. And we've had a lot of comments about how he always talks about, we'll learn from this, da-da-da-da. And A, I think he genuinely believes that. But also B, I think that he's just not going to give you much more. Like, he's not going to sell the players out. He might do it behind the doors, but he's not going to do it in public. And it's boring for some fans to hear that. But he's just not going to really... We've seen him maybe once or twice over 3 years arc up a little bit in presses, but I would find it really hard to believe that he would be anything like what Ricky does. Even I don't think he'd do it once a year, to be honest. So whether that's right, wrong, it's just how he is. I am very lucky that I have a very small insight into him that a lot of our listeners don't. But having said that, I can't tell you that I know everything about the guy. Like, the guy keeps his cards really close to his chest. But I don't think he's too matey with anything. I like Logan's idea here to get a Jimmy Maloney in. I think something like that can never hurt. There's a history at the club, obviously. I don't know if Fitzy has a history with Maloney or not at all. Maybe he does at rep level, or maybe at the Roosters.
How about at the Roosters at some stage?
Yeah, but I love that. I mean, I've got a huge respect for Maloney's football intelligence. So I don't know if it's a money thing or a contract thing, or if they're happy with what they've got. I mean, I'll tell you this, and I haven't seen the press conference, but the coach would just say something like, yeah, we've lost 2 in a row, 2 games we should have won, we'll learn from it. Like, I get all that. But his point will be it's 2 losses. And as fans, we go, well, we really should have won those games. And he would agree with you, but also he's just moving on. He's thinking about Perth and Manly and who's lining up. And doesn't mean they're not going to do a review. Of course they'll do a review. Of course they'll go over where they went wrong. But this game moves really fast, Steve. Like, it's
that's it.
Like, their weeks just go by. So we're already going into week 6. We were just in Vegas for round 1. So they can't dwell too much. We love dwelling, but they can't really do it. Luke says, to be fair, it's what I want a head coach for our team to be stoic, thoughtful, protecting the players, as long as they're held accountable. That's the question. Are they held accountable? And I can't give you a yes or no on that, Lush, but from the things I've experienced and heard, they are held accountable. They all have a lot of meetings with the coach and the coaching staff, and it's not all rosy, We've seen Fitzy's pretty loyal, but he's also made changes. So another loss. Maybe we will. Maybe we will see some change. But there are some troops coming back, which is awesome. I want to give a shout out to our colleague Kieran. He's done a wonderful thing. I don't know if anyone's seen our Instagram, but there was a game last year, Steve, where we played the Cowboys in the finals, and myself, Kieran, and our friend Dave were on national TV, international TV, jumping up and down when Trindle scored the try, and it was very embarrassing. But what Kieran has done is he has got it animated, the photos. There's like a cartoon of it, and it's on our Instagram. I think of a few other places I'll put it up. And so shout out to Kieran for doing that. It made our day. It was very funny. And for some reason, our friend Dave and Kieran have melded into one, but I'm in the corner going, yeah, and I look like this fluffy cliche that I am. So great stuff. Shout out to Kieran. Steve, I don't know what's happening, man. I just think that we got to turn it around, like it's time now to turn it around. This team under Fitzgibbon has rarely lost 3 in a row. I think we have, but it's rare. And I'd be super surprised if you don't see a better performance next week. There is a longer recovery time, although they will be heading over to Perth, I would imagine, Tuesday, Wednesday. But as everyone's pointed out to me, travel's not an issue. So I'm with you. I'm going on that journey with you that travel is not an issue. And I believe that, like, you're right. Like, it's their athletes. Let's get it done. Luce says, thanks for calming me down. Well, that's what we're here to do, is to calm everyone down. And also tell the truth, though, as to Chris, who's watching or was watching, we're here to tell the truth. We're not here to be buddies with everyone. So I don't like it when they say that. I think Chris knows that. Steve, I appreciate you hanging on, being my buddy for tonight. It's been a lot of fun talking to you. We'll let you go and we'll talk to you another time. Always feel free to dial in. It's always great to dial in. There are a couple of people that dialed in tonight. If you're still listening, if you're listening on the podcast version, do it again next week, because you just got to unmute that button and you'll be able to talk. There was CJ, there was Jamie, there was another one, I think, as well. So apologies, massive apologies, but thank you to Kobe and to Steve for dialing in. Really appreciate it. It's always fun to talk to other Sharks fans. We might leave it there. Steve, I'll say goodbye to you, my friend.
Cheers, Sam. Have a great night. Next week, we just got to do a Brad Gilbert winning ugly.
Whatever it takes, my man.
That's all it counts, as long as we get 2 points.
Thanks, Steve. Take care, brother.
Cheers, Sam. See you, man.
Thank you. So thanks, everyone, for all of this awesome communication. There's just been so much. It's been fantastic. That's right, Lynn. You give it to Brooks here. I don't know if you're doing that or not. I'm not following the story very well, but this Brooksy guy's a real pest. Brooksy's waiting for Derby week. He knows what's coming in Derby week. Fat L. Sharks lose. What was the score? 24-20. 2 losses in a row. Got to turn it around in Perth. There's some troops coming back. Love to hear your thoughts throughout the week about what you see when you watch the game back, when you think about it. Sharkcastpod@gmail.com. Go to our website, sharkcast.com.au. You can get in touch with us, leave us a message, a voicemail, an email, whatever. You can DM us on the socials. It's been a lot of fun talking to everyone. Really appreciate it. And until we talk to you again, which will be no doubt very soon, appreciate everything you guys and girls do for us. I say it every 3 seconds, but I mean it every 3 seconds. And shout out to everyone who went down to Canberra. What a great effort. What a heartbreaking loss. One you probably won't forget for a long time. As viewers on the television, we won't forget it for a long time either. It sucks. It really sucks. I hate losing, but I hate losing in that fashion. And there's not a lot more for me to say. We could talk all night. We're not going to do that because it's just not healthy at this point. But it's been fun talking to everyone. Appreciate the support. Appreciate you all. Up, Cronulla. I can't play the song. I'm sorry I can't play the song. We'll talk to you all soon. Going to hit end stream. Good night.